Hello. How are you? I wanted to take the opportunity today to kind of discuss how tainted and contaminated Buffalo really is. And I'm talking about Buffalo, New York. And this just is not just the water that's contaminated. It's not just the soil that's contaminated. It's the whole system. It's our elected officials that is contaminated. And the contamination runs deep. You know, I'm going to hit on every area as much as I can within these couple of minutes that I'm going to be on here. But I want to be clear. We're going to start from the top. Our whole elected officials, administration, they're all contaminated. For one, this group of particulars love to always put the blame back on the community for everything. Our common council is supposed to listen to our concerns, but instead they call us complainers. Our mayor has done ads where he's called people complainers, and yet they still voted for him to get back into office. You also have the contamination of everything that's going on in that administration being erased. And when I say erased, they're taking down important things that shows that something ain't right. The lies that we deal with on a daily basis from our elected officials is just pure contamination. The lip service that they tell the community, about certain things, even when they're connected to these concerned clergies, these pastors with the 501(c) special circumstances organization, corporations, that's government agents that stand with the government instead of helping and standing with the community. All of this is contamination. Our soil is contaminated. Buffalo has a high rate of cancer. Our water is contaminated. Our children right now can't even go into the swimming pools because they're coming up with some type of infections and blisters and stuff all on their bodies. But they get on the news, they don't tell you that, don't go into the water. Something's wrong with the water. We have lead. They don't tell you anything like that. What they tell you is everything is safe. What they tell you is paint is the reason for the lead. What they tell you is nobody deals with urban gardens with the contaminated fruits and vegetables yet, but they send it into the corner stores that sell crack kits and drug paraphernalia and everything else. Everything is contaminated. But then we have these groups that are supposed to be out here to help us, fight for us, and they stand with the administration. They stand with the administration because why? They are a 501(c) non-for-profit, which gets funding from who? The government. So at the end of it all, it becomes a farce full of contamination of lies and facades that most people in this community don't want to face. They don't want to realize that the people that they face and consider to be friends are the ones that are lying to them. They may have provided them a job and they think they cool. They're forced to attend meetings and people feel obligated to vote for them. All this is a crack of lies. It's all mind contamination. They're fucking with everything. Yet we have these people that is supposed to be moving into this community. They're building up all these apartments and tearing down all our history. We have a common council member that says just because something was built way back when doesn't mean that it needs to get historic credits. I mean, it's just everything here is a bunch of contaminated lies. Everything is. And we need to stop it. You know, they sit up here and they say to us that we're not unified because people is jealous of somebody else because they have this and the other person don't have that, and they jealous that some person has worked all their life. And how do you know the other person ain't worked all their life? I mean, it's just craziness. It's craziness, the way that people think, the way that we're treated as a community. Everything is crazy. And they have tainted our lives with a bunch of bullshit. But I want to take it a step further, because this type of deceit, contamination, tainted vision, everybody repeats, they regurgitate the same thing over and over and over again, and it just becomes extra messy. It becomes extra messy, because at the end of the day, you're like, well, what the hell is actually going on? What is going on? Because we're not getting it. We're not letting it resonate. We're still trusting the same system that says, you know what? You don't want to unite with them. We can't unite because everybody is just so jealous of the next person. Or, you know, like, we're the only culture that has crime. And it's asinine. It's an asinine way of thinking. That individual selfish thinking keeps us right where we at. And them, with their mind games, puts us right where they want us. They make you think that you got to work with people that have harmed you. So banks can come along, they can redline you, the state or whoever can sue the banks, and then all of a sudden, you know, they get this money from the banks because they sued them. And instead of investing it back into the community, they take that money, do whatever they choose to do with it, and say, you know what? We have to work with them. We have to work with them. No, the hell we don't. We don't have to work with anybody that has harmed us. When the community doesn't unite, as long as there is some type of support when it is truly needed for us to stand together, to me, that's the first step. Uniting the community will be totally awesome. But we have to change the way we think. We have to change the way that we listen to someone delivering a message. Because everybody's not going to deliver the message the same. Long as the message is truthful, long as it's factual, and not a bunch of tainted, contaminated bullshit. Because that's all we get here in Buffalo. They say Buffalo is on a rise. One person on a stat said, this is not gentrification, it's rejuvenation. What the fuck is that? What does that mean? When people are sitting up here being displaced, when people have to move from a different county, this one man actually said, oh, they just moving from one block to the next in your dreams. And then they think that you owe them an example of how you've been gentrified. I mean, people in their privilege gets on my damn nerves. Just like them old time sayings, they put them in where it's not appropriate. That stuff gets on my nerves too. So at the end of it all, we have to understand this current administration is contaminated. It's contaminated with lies, cheats, dishonesty. They don't have your back at all. And that's something that we have to realize, and we have to change it. Because if we don't, especially come November 5th, if we do not change those seats, and then the mayor's race coming up, if we do not get him out, we're in for it. assessments are coming out. They're preparing them right now. They're preparing these assessments as we speak. And if you allow the Common Council to remain in these seats come November 5th, and don't allow new people to get into these seats so we can change legislation, so that way our houses do not be overpriced, we're done for. So I want you to let that marinate. Think about the contamination. Think about the truth from the facts. Because those two work together. The lies and the contamination. Those two work together. I'm out.